Good morning, afternoon, or evening, everyone. This is Directed Energy, and I wanted to talk about Hardspace Shipbreaker. For those of you unfamiliar with the game, it is an early access title on Steam by Blackbird Interactive, wherein you play a shipbreaker, a person who's gone into space to escape the broken economy of a ruined Earth in order to seek your fortune among the stars, becoming a scrapyard mechanic. Unfortunately, the Lynx Corporation does hold you responsible for all of the costs that are involved getting you up into space, so you start your first day on the job with 1 billion space bucks in debt. But it's in space, so I guess that's okay. One thing I do want to talk about right away is how much the cinematic that you get when you first start the game really captured my attention. I just love the art style. I'm a big fan of Homeworld, obviously, and so when I see this kind of angular ship construction with the bright colors, with the oranges and the blues and the pinks, it really brings that Homeworld vibe to life for me, and I was excited to have that sort of environment with a first-person perspective. Plus, the entire thing has a really Old West in space feel, which I'm a big fan of, as you might have noticed from a lot of my music choices for Deadly Salvage. I like that Western kind of frontier feeling in my media that I consume, and this really nails that feeling, even if you're just a corporate cog in a giant machine. Anyway, let's get into the gameplay, and we can talk a little bit more about why I think people should buy this game. First off, this game has a spectacular sense of humor. You start things off with an employment confirmation form that is not very well balanced in terms of things that it gives the employee versus things that it gives the employer. This is very much dystopia with completely unregulated capitalism running rampant, and you as an employee are basically nothing, and you owe the company everything, including your life. No, literally, it tells you that your DNA is property of the Lynx Corporation, if you accept employment. I like the art style on the menus as well, but the menus did feel a little bit clunky to me, and I think they could be further refined. The controls are relatively intuitive for the most part. You've got the same movement controls that you have in Space Engineers, so if you're familiar with that game, and I know many of our viewers here are, you'll have no problems navigating around the world of Shipbreaker. You've got effectively two tools, the first of which is the grapple. The grapple is some kind of weird handheld tractor beam that is capable of both pulling objects and pushing them with your alt fire, and also making a magical tractor beam chain that allows you to link things and throw them into either the furnace, the processor, or the barge. The second tool is a laser cutter. It's got two heads. One's a precise beam that allows you to precision strike little cut points on the ship, and the other one is the one that you see in the trailer a lot, where it's got this kind of scissor effect that slices a long line in whatever you're pointing at. Just make sure not to cut the wrong thing. If you breach a pressurized area, things have a tendency to explode. And in the words of Jane, I don't want to explode. I do find this game very relaxing, at least once I figured out what not to cut to avoid making the ship blow up. And, to be honest, I still haven't figured that entirely out. It's a great way to exercise your brain. There's a lot of problem solving, there's a lot of time management, because as you can see in the upper right-hand corner, there is a timer. Your shift only lasts 15 minutes. I mean, I wish my shift only lasted 15 minutes in real life, but you do have to figure out exactly what you can pull off the ship and what you need to leave behind and just throw into the furnace before your time is up. Some ships give you multiple days, others only one, and each ship is a little bit different because they're all procedurally generated. It's pretty cool. As much fun as Shipbreaker is, it is still very much an early access title. There are only two hull types, which is mitigated somewhat by the procedural generation of the interior, but once you've cut up a mackerel a half dozen times, you've pretty much cut up all of the mackerels. I'm assuming the same goes for the larger hull type, but I haven't gotten there yet. I also ran into some weird graphics glitches that were only able to be resolved by my rebooting my computer. I don't know what that was about, and I also don't know if it was a local hardware problem or if it was a problem with Shipbreaker itself. All I can say is it was bizarre, as you can see here. The game also has its very own version of Clang, which unfortunately I was not able to capture in this video, but it does make the physics act very strangely, and occasionally parts that you're pulling out of a ship will just whip wildly back and forth and sometimes murder you in the face. But hey, Lynx did say this was a dangerous job. All in all, I'd say Shipbreaker is worth the money, even though it's an alpha. It does have a few warts, but that's to be expected at this point in the game's development. It's only $20 on Steam right now, and I think I've definitely gotten $20 worth of enjoyment from it. I've also been able to use it as a palate cleanser because with a 15-minute shift time, I can just set a time limit for myself in-game, do one shift, move on to something else, because I can stop playing this game anytime I want. It's not a habit, I just like playing it. I think a lot of the game's appeal comes from trying to figure out just how to get that last component out of there without cutting the wrong thing and watching the whole ship explode into a million pieces. Yeah, like that. I'm sure I'll figure out how to get that react out eventually. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this game review. I've never done one before. If you enjoyed it, push that like button. Ha ha ha, self-plug. If you didn't, let me know why, and tell me, should I do more game reviews in the future? Let us know in the comments.